Hello, St. Paul's. As you may know, we've long had two Steinway grand pianos in the Great Hall. Neither of them was in great condition, and about 2 years ago, we decided it was time to restore the better one to its former glory, so that we could host concerts with a really good instrument. Restoration of a grand piano costs around $40,000 if it's done right, and we wanted it done right. Many of you helped to raise funds, and Gabriel Oreghi organized a couple of concerts. This generated some money. The bulk of it came from what we call the Patchen Fund, an invested fund that can only be used for music expenses that aren't part of the normal operating costs. We were also extremely fortunate to have parishioner Robert Wilkins as the godfather of the project. As former chief operating officer of the San Diego Symphony, Robert was familiar with the best piano technicians across the country. He directed us to the right person and oversaw all the arrangements, as well as personally covering some of the expenses. The total cost ended up being around $42,000, which was a worthwhile investment in an instrument that would cost more than twice that if we bought it new from the factory. The piano was gone for about 18 months, and when it returned last month, it was transformed. I am no expert, but I can tell you it's an incredibly fine instrument to play and to hear. So I asked Gabriel Oreghi, who is an expert, to join me today and tell us a little about the piano. So Gabriel, tell us about the piano. What do you know about its name, its model, its age, and where it came from?
Well, this piano is a Steinway. It was built in 1929, and those of you who are piano buffs will know that is the golden age of Steinways built in this country. And it's got a long history with this place. I don't know where it came from, but it was here when I first started singing in the choirs as a teenager. And it was always not quite as well cared for as it might have been. And you had choir, it used to be in the choir room. So of course, during breaks, the choir boys and girls would go and pound on it. And then it just sort of had a life like that. And it just gradually declined in its condition over the years. But this is a Steinway B, which means it is a 7-foot Steinway, or technically 6 feet 11 inches. And I thought it was time that we really work on getting it up to the next level, because it is a superb instrument. And I'm so glad we did, because now when I sit and play it, I almost don't recognize it. It is like playing a new Steinway. So it's quite thrilling.
So it's lived up to expectations.
Oh, you know, we always wonder how it's going to turn out. And I knew that since Steinway did the work themselves, that it would be fine. But I never dreamed that it would be this responsive and sensitive of an instrument. And it's so easy to control. And the colors that are available, it just does everything you want it to do.
What sort of care and maintenance will we need to apply to keep it in good condition?
Well, regular tunings are good. Usually it's twice a year for tuning. And the rest of the time, we want to keep it covered. And I personally would love to see a 5-foot perimeter around it where no liquids are permitted, because all it takes is one spill that gets into a soundboard, and the soundboard is ruined. And Steinway soundboards are pretty amazing things, because unlike newer pianos that sometimes are made more cheaply, they harden the hammers so you get that brilliant sound. The Steinway soundboard with heat is curved, the wood is curved, and that's what gives it its distinctive ring. So we want to be really careful with it, keep it covered, but it should be played. And I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Good. And what sort of plans do you have for the piano in the future?
Well, in the immediate future, since we are still locked down, I plan to start recording the piano voluntaries that I've been doing at home on my poor little out-of-tune Steinway. and I would like to shift that here. And so that's going to be the first thing. But I've already contacted a couple of people who might be interested in playing inaugural recitals when we are allowed to gather again. And this is just off the top of my head, but until that time, I'm thinking I might even think about doing a virtual recital. But ultimately, in the long range, I see the piano as the center of a new concert series that we could have here, both concerts that we produce and people that might want to come in from the outside, because where the piano is in the Great Hall has superb acoustics for concerts. And it would be nice to be able to have that available to people.
Great. And of course, we have our Friends of Cathedral Music Fund
Yes.
that helps to support concerts and concert series. And we're always very grateful for any donations to that fund. So in a moment, we're going to hear you put the piano through its paces. I'm excited about that. And while you get settled and seated and turn the camera around, let me just offer a heartfelt thanks for the generosity of those who were involved in this project. The original donor of the piano, I wish we had that name, all of you who contributed to the fundraiser, the benefactors of the Pacem Fund, and especially Robert Wilkins, the godfather. So Gabriel is now going to play Chopin, Opus 64, number 2, the Waltz in C# minor, and I will say, see you on Sunday.